You're watching Camnet TV, not just another channel. Welcome to our news. The headlines. Lack of fuel delays the issuance of NRC'S at CHINGANGAUKA Primary School in CHIKANKATA district of Southern Province. Another dead body found floating in LUSAKA'S NGWENYA Dam. NRC'S revokes driver's licenses for 6 motorists for various road traffic offences. In international news, illicit money flows from Africa nears 89 billion United States dollars, UN study says. And in sports news, JANZA pleased to be NAPSA technical director. For the details, join me shortly after this break.
Join us on the 9th of October 2020
for the National Matters Conference in Kitwe. Venue: Living Water Global Church in Wasakile, opposite Wasakile Police Station. Time: 08 hours to 17 hours. Theme: Unlocking Zambia's potential through raising a generation of generational thinkers. Charges: 510 kwacha, lunch inclusive. Speakers will be Dr. Collins Kachaka.
If you have a 3 liters per second, then we say in science that you qualify to get involved in fish farming because you have adequate water.
Dr. Mushalika.
Don't over-listen to people who are happy to see you poor. They don't mean any good for us. There are no people who are developed by others. All people develop themselves.
Dr. Prosper Sievu, Engineer Bernard Chuala.
You are welcome so that we can create a critical mass of participants in the avocado industry. 1 hectare in 12 months will give you no less than 1 million kwacha. Hello?
Mr. Himbai.
You planted a deep-rooted plant into a shallow-rooted, so where is it getting the nutrients? Nowhere. So that plant, it will not give you the potency. You have failed at land preparation.
Mr. Salanda.
All of them lay eggs. You can use them for eggs and also for meat. They lay at least in a year a minimum of, to the lowest, a minimum of 100 chickens each.
All the dyes, all the paints, all the lubricants, they come from a plant called castor. 34% of our medicinal elements, they come from a castor root.
Not forgetting your host, Pastor Victoria and Moses Chidora.
Mwebantu mweshitisha land. Mwebantu mweshitisha land. Nami papata. It is unthinkable.
Take note, limited numbers due to COVID-19 restrictions. Make your payments through Airtel Mobile Money on 0979753010 or on MTN Mobile Money on 0962382535 or 0962965883.
Really been impacted on so many levels.
This was really powerful and I'm glad I didn't miss this one.
This conference has been wonderful in the sense that the knowledge that we've acquired within a day is so much overwhelming.
Should this conference come to Western Province, I urge them all to come en masse.
I didn't know that there's potential in me and wealth was lying right where I was.
The way to go right now is agriculture.
The knowledge that we have gathered out of this meeting is immeasurable.
Hurry, don't miss this life-changing conference.
With the details, my name is Liseli Kanyanga. Barely 2 weeks ago, since the body of an unidentified man discovered floating in the NGWENYA Dam, a body of another unidentified male has been discovered dead in the same dam. Due to the decomposed state of the body, an autopsy has been done on site and buried at Leopards Hill Cemetery. We have more in this report.
In the African culture, a dead body is treated with honor and dignity as it is led to its final resting place. But imagine being buried without your beloved ones to see you off or give you a befitting send-off. I'm sure it can be heartbreaking even in one's death. This is the case of an identified man who was found floating in the NGWENYA Dam in Osaka's Mississippi compound Tuesday afternoon. The man, estimated to be in his 20s, was being buried by police officers after he was found decomposed in the dam. The man was found with a rope around his neck, and the first suspicion would be that he would have been killed by unknown people. A postmortem was conducted on site, and the body was later taken for burial at the New Leopards Hill Cemetery. On the 9th of this month, another body of an unidentified man was found buried in the same dam. Kalan Muchima reporting for Camnet News in Osaka.
We sincerely apologize for not having warned our viewers for showing that sensitive picture. Moving on in the news, officers issuing out national registration cards NRC'S in CHIKANKATA constituency of Southern Province in the ongoing national mobile registration exercise have been accused of paying a lip service to the community. In CHINGANGAUKA community, the officers are accused of spending most of their time on their phones at the expense of attending to the people. On Monday, issuance of NRC'S is said to have started around 16 hours based on excuses given by the officers that they had no fuel for the genset as someone had been sent to fetch for the commodity. But the community is not pleased with the manner in which the officers are handling this national process.
The mobile issuance of national registration cards NRC'S has continued to raise eyebrows in the manner it is being managed. At CHINGANGAUKA Primary School in CHIKANKATA constituency of Southern Province, complaints are the order of the day.
I'm 17 years. They said that I'm too young. I can't get the NRC.
That's why they've not given you an NRC?
Yes.
How old are you?
I'm 18.
But your parents have not told them that you are 18? Hundreds of parents and their children patiently wait to be issued with NRC'S. Government officials from the Department of National Registration under the Ministry of Home Affairs have been at this school for the past 5 days, but the people have accused them of being less helpful as they start serving them late while ending the process early. People here have also accused the officers of spending most of their time speaking on phones. On Monday, people told Camnet TV News that the issuance of NRC'S started as late as 16 hours, as the officers were said to have been fetching for fuel for the genset since morning.
It is slow process, It is slow.
Choka kuseni vambo pasa manje. Why? Vakuzana to what's the reason?
Taona chere valeta petrol
Tasiga, najana kutaba abantu basimo penzela fuel. So fuel on yayi wisiga bayikutereka muri mo wabo wenda.
Balali waya mungira. Kabalanga yipeza abantu kutibasiga jindizi. Bali bunga bamwawa. Kai ndika ndi mafoni kuzwa kuhira mafoni umakona kwi mayimawe. So tubona kuti chobe kabalisile sacha bayiti.
No officer here was willing to say a word to this reporter, saying they haven't been given that authority. CHIKANKATA Member of Parliament Crispin Mwinga was at the school to check on the progress.
The process is very slow, and looking at the number of people that have been captured so far, it's actually nothing. There is literally nothing, because so far, you can tell me since morning, you are only having 20 people who have been captured. So it is one way of PF wanting to rig our election, the 2021 elections. And I want to warn them strongly that we will not take this anymore, because you cannot deny people their rights. Getting an NRC is a constitutional right. Since morning, we are told there was no diesel for the genset. I mean, in a civilized world, who does that?
He further wonders why government has sent more officers in areas where there are less people who are paying less attention in concentration areas.
Where there are people, there are no centers for issuance of NRCs. They have designed the system where they put centers where there are no people. Centers have been put in the villages, in the hills where there are no people. And they expect people to go maybe 7-10 kilometers to the centers, which is very, very unfortunate.
Kalan Muchima reporting for Camnet News in CHIKANKATA constituency, Southern Province.
CHIKANKATA Member of Parliament Crispin Mwinga has empowered 7 women groups in his constituency with some empowerment funds to help boost their business following the coronavirus, which has impacted negatively on their businesses. They donated over 5,000. Money will be used as revolving fund among the groups. The donation comes following cries of help from the women groups. We have more in this report.
With the advent of the coronavirus in Zambia, most businesses and projects have experienced a downturn effect. In CHIKANKATA constituency of Southern Province, some women groups have failed to access any empowerment help from government to boost their businesses, hence turning to their Member of Parliament Crispin Mwinga for help.
Ujatigi halugwaho ndobaga tupagale bayi mupibesu ono tulomba kuti bayindirihe kutugwa hamapenzi ngo tuswanganya ali mwajibola bumpera
abantu basu tulamuyanda. This is the more reason why tunga kuba ka problem gajatigi abamaga ntuba amabanana tenda amba utapondi na mge mupi ndirabuleka gwanda kuyiminina ndinyo so tulajole kuti beza wala tupama omimabo tunga abobo kutwambo tumobandiga bagandambira bacha ledi toganda kugwa hiko togatwamba wala twambo to abacha ledi so ndaba pataske kuti bacha ledi bano nye bali muri hibeni nobeni bomuti yani bomukala na twandaola yo mali nenga mulaji tabuti bacha ledi bandambira kuti bagamba utinga bapanga yaji gomena kutego ati mu December twawa abana naino mwaka abana ali mu December inaino mazuba bola kumpera tetu ya kupenga mewe ndalikuya kuti na kuganda wala Helena awoga Heleni is some kind of empowerment toganda wala Helena abo insondo babereha ba mabanana ali mobereha tepu yonse mulama banana bali wawo nsondo nambanana nduba babereha mana
In responding to their cries, Mr. Mwinga has given out over 5,000 kwacha cash money to 7 groups to be used on a rotational basis or revolving fund. The money will be used by one group, which has to pass on the same money to another group in 2 weeks' time, according to the group members themselves, who are involved in various economic empowerment projects such as chicken rearing, banana and orange business, peanut butter business, among other forms of businesses.
Amana mbulimbu mwamba mali bimali kuti mopagale nambo bamakomiti abamu group balala abanyabambala abanyabwaga tupete munji bayibwe ya namba nayo bananandu bababweza bana chingoma bana teni pagi babwe ya malale bana kujinchana mujabo jabo balajinchana balasinguluka bakubona kutakula malale naja siga yindi bene chebanda kwa abana balabana baba nabatandi kwa abana uteka tuzumana gatuyubereha balasi
The groups to benefit from the empowerment fund include Chiyokoma, Simujende, Chopa, Mona Mainda, Tenpak, Shingoma A and Shingoma B. It is only hoped that the donated money will be used for the intended purpose so as to reduce poverty in some households. Kalan Muchima reporting for Camnet News in CHIKANKATA constituency, Southern Province.
The Road Transport and Safety Agency RATSA has revoked drivers' licenses for 6 motorists for various road traffic offences. The 6 include Harrington Kapambwe, whose license had been revoked for dangerous driving, Anthony Mwamba, whose license had been revoked for careless driving, and Enoch Malama, whose license has been revoked for causing death by dangerous driving. Others who have been penalised are Robert Banda, who has had his license revoked for excessive speed. Bisalamo Tembo, whose license has been suspended for 1 year for causing death by dangerous driving, and Stephen Matongo, whose license has also been suspended for causing death by dangerous driving. RATSA has since advised law enforcement officers to ensure that the above-named individuals are not allowed to drive on any Zambian road because, as it stands, they are ineligible to drive any car. This is according to a statement made available by Public Relations Unit at RATSA. For now, we take a break, but do stay with us as we have more interesting stories lined up for you.
Msika is here. We have you all covered with just 150 kwacha. You can advertise every day from 17 hours to 18 hours. For a 30-second ad, get the benefit of selling your products and services on Msika. For more details, call our marketing department on +260 953 995099 +260 962 444 726 or +260 971 177 467. Email us on info@camnettvafrica.com. Terms and conditions apply.
Are you a filmmaker? Well, you are exactly what we are looking for.
Camnet TV is calling on local filmmakers. For more details,
you can visit our headquarters in Ibex Hill, next to Hilltop Hospital.
Contact us on
0962 444 726. Camnet TV.
Not just another channel. I have used Oracle Pure Glycerin for 2 years now. It has really worked for me. It has cleared all the black spots on my face. It has restored my skin beauty. It also smoothens the skin. Try Oracle Pure Glycerin for perfect skin. If it's not Oracle Glycerin, then it's not pure glycerin.
You're watching Camnet TV World News. Thank you so much for staying with us. We now have a recap of the previous story where RATSA has revoked 6 motorists' driving licenses. The Road Transport and Safety Agency, RATSA, has revoked driver's licenses for 6 motorists for various road traffic offences. The 6 include Harrington Kapambwe, whose license had been revoked for dangerous driving, Anthony Mwamba, whose license had been revoked for careless driving, and Enoch Malama, whose driving license had been revoked for causing death by dangerous driving. Others who have been penalized are Robert Banda, who has had his license revoked for excessive speed, Visalamo Tembo, whose license had been suspended for 1 year for causing death by dangerous driving, and Stephen Matongo, whose license has also been suspended for causing death by dangerous driving. RATSA has since advised law enforcement officers to ensure that the above-named individuals are not allowed to drive on any Zambian road because, as it stands, they are not eligible to drive any car. This is according to a statement made available to Camnet TV News by the Public Relations Unit at RATSA. We now join RATSA Head of Public Relations, Mr. Frederick Mubanga, for detailed information on this matter. Mr. Mubanga, good evening, and thank you so much for joining us.
Good evening, and good evening to viewers.
Firstly, we would like to know how often these people who have committed road traffic offences, for you as an institution to end up minting such punishment to the affected motorists.
Okay, thank you very much. I think you must understand that it's high time that we started not to trivialize matters of road safety, especially that the drivers in question, 4 of which the driving licenses have been revoked, are public service vehicle drivers. And of course, the 2 are private vehicle drivers whose suspension came as a result of court proceedings. Let me therefore dwell too much on the other 4 drivers whose licenses have been revoked by the Road Transport and Safety Agency through the provisions of the Road Traffic Act number 11 of 2002, which empowers the Director and Chief Executive Officer of the NRC'S to revoke a driving license of an individual who seems or renders himself unfit to drive on the public road or poses to be a great risk to other road users. Therefore, the drivers in question, therefore, have demonstrated that they are not fit to drive in public roads. This is arising from the accident investigations that were conducted by the Road Transport and Safety Agency.
Okay.
And allow me to state that it is not the frequency of how one violates the Road Traffic Act or road traffic provision. It is also the circumstances that resulted into that particular road traffic accident. For instance, I'll give you an example of the 4 drivers who are public service vehicle drivers. These are buses, the long distance buses that have been fitted with GPS. And they know that these vehicles are monitored by both NRC'S and their bosses who are the operators. And they have to drive at not more than 100 kilometers per hour, or on a stretch of 60 kilometers, they have to drive according to the postings on the road. And with impunity, that kind of a driver opts to drive at 140 against the posted speed limit of 100 kilometers per hour. And then this driver has caused a road traffic accident. So I think it is clear, and we have got no doubt whatsoever, that such a driver should not be allowed to continue, especially driving passengers. You know, these long distance buses are mass carriers. They carry in excess of 76 passengers. And if we allow such a driver to continue on the road, therefore, we are going to put the risk or the safety of other road users, including the passengers, at risk. However, may I hasten to say that the suspended, or especially the revoked driving licenses, the drivers have got provisions to appeal through the Public Service Vehicle Tribunal, which can oversee and determine, unless otherwise, their case on why their driving licenses should not be revoked. Similarly, I think we have had drivers who have opted to drink while they are on the wheels. So should we give chance for them to drink as many times as possible before we make a punishment? I think knowingly they know that drinking and driving is an offense. And of course, such drivers, the agency going forward, will have got no option but to put them in the right frame so that going forward we avoid these road traffic accidents. However, the rationale behind this revocation and prosecution of these traffic offences is meant to deter would-be offenders so that we send a self-control signal to other motorists not to disregard traffic rules and regulations with impunity.
Okay. Would you be in a position to tell the nation how many other motorists have had their licenses revoked or suspended before the current ones?
Of course, from time to time, the courts of law, through the Magistrate Court and the High Court, hear quite a number of traffic-related offences, especially those that are in relation to causing death by dangerous driving. And this year alone, we have had in excess of 20 plus driving licenses that have been suspended for a given period by the High Court in circumstances relating to causing death by dangerous driving. However, in cases where it is a matter that is being handled by the Road Transport and Safety Agency, you must recall that earlier in the year, just at the beginning of the year, I think the first month of January, we did, of course, write to 46 drivers that were found driving under the influence of alcohol, who so-called as to why their licenses should not be revoked for driving under the influence of alcohol. We hasten to say that out of that number, the 46, about 40 of them responded in terms of showing cause, and then we gave them a benefit of doubt, and we recorded that if they become second offenders, we are going to revisit their case. So a total of 6 earlier in the year were written to notify them about the revocation of this driving license. In addition to that, in June this year, 2 public service vehicle drivers were also had their licenses revoked for excessive speed and exceeding the provisions of the GPS provision, making the total number of driving licenses that have been revoked from January to date to 14.
Okay, Mr. Mubanga.
6 early in the year, 2 in June, and the 6 that we just announced today.
Okay, thank you so much for making time to be with us on Camnet TV World News. We may go on, but because of time. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Moving on in the news, National Democratic Party leader Chishimba Kambwili has challenged government to issue a comprehensive statement on the allegation leveled against them by Konkola Copper Mines KCM. Addressing the media Tuesday, Dr. Kambwili notes with concern that the stories that have circulated in a named tabloid in its 2 publications leaves much to be desired and cause for immediate action by the powers that be. Dr. Kambwili laments that putting KCM under receivership was done to benefit a few individuals. KCM was placed under receivership in 2019 to the custodian of the company's business and assets. He says ever since the receiver took over the mines, the business at this institution has been going to political cadres affiliated to the ruling party. He says people heading the institution must step down and institute investigations, adding that the current situation is not helping the ordinary Zambian people. Meanwhile, Dr. Kambwili is disappointed in the Mine Workers Union of Zambia for failing to stand up for the atrocities happening at KCM.
When KCM was placed under receivership, I did warn the country, I did warn the miners, and I did warn the union that what was being done was not in the best interest of the country, but in the best interest of a few individuals that had the interest to siphon money from KCM. What has been happening at KCM is not anything good to talk about. Since the receiver took over the running of the mine, all the businesses at KCM have been going to non-PF cadres. In some instances where business is given to those who are not PF or those who are not cadres of PF, the payments take forever. People have been segregated that when cadres supply to the mines or when cadres do contracts to the mines, they are paid within a short period of time. When the others who are not associated with PF are paid 5-7 months from the time of putting in their invoices. Men and women. Ichakonko lubilo, bachikonko lubilo. If indeed Milingolungu did what is reported in the diggers, where he went and gave a company which he bought from a person called Chilinda and gave them a contract of $1.6 million and paid in advance before even anything was supplied, is a scandal that needs the head of state to come in and correct the situation and direct that investigations be conducted, and whoever is going to be found wanting must be brought to book.
Industrial Development Corporation Group Chief Executive Officer Mateo Kaluba says IDC is in the process of securing $1 billion United States dollars aimed at maximizing the vision of Zambia Railways. Mr. Kaluba says this is in line with its vision to modernize Zambia Railways. Speaking when he inaugurated the new Zambia Railways board, Mr. Kaluba says negotiations are currently ongoing with development financiers and are expected to conclude before the end of the year. The CEO says the funds will be invested in rolling stock and new infrastructure such as upgrading of rail tracks. He says this will allow trains to move at a speed of 80 kilometers per hour for freight trains and 120 kilometers for passenger trains. Mr. Kaluba is confident that the new board will play a role in transforming Zambia Railways to profitability and into transnational hub in the SADC region. Between 2012 and 2015, Zambia Railways was given $120 million United States dollars to improve operations at Zambia Railways.
And we as IDC are committed to supporting that modernization. That's why we are currently working with the management and now with your board to secure a $1 billion investment into Zambia Railways infrastructure. This will go to locomotives, it will go to upgrading the track. We are optimistic that within a space of 3 to 4 years, we should be able to see trains moving at about 80 kilometers per hour on average, which should fundamentally change the dynamics for the company. So this investment is currently under serious negotiations, financing and technical partners, and we hope to complete negotiations before the close of the year.
The Zambia Institute of Governance and Civil Liberties Advocacy Platform has appealed to the Minister of Finance, Walyangandu, to start thinking of a supplementary budget towards environmental protection. Institution Chief Executive Officer Francis Chipili explains that his call comes in the wake of low budgetary allocation given to the sector in the 2021 national budget. Mr. Chipili says environmental protection is an important sector, especially with the increase in climate change and global warming activities. He adds that this sector protects water recharge areas, among other things, hence the need to have a budget that will respond to the needs of the country. The environment protection sector has seen a decline in budgetary allocation for the past years, with the recent revelation being in the 2021 national budget.
Of Governance and Civil Liberties Advocacy Platform, ZCLAP, we were hoping that the call for national resiliency was going to be amplified through adequate allocation of funds in the areas of environmental protection. When you look at the 7th National Development Plan, one of the things that were focused in that plan was environmental protection in the areas of watersheds, protection, water catchment areas, protection of our forestry, protection of underground water resources. And so when you look at the trend of underfunding the environmental protection, the 7th national budget ran from 2017 and 2021 is the last year of implementation. And now we've seen there's a minimal increase in the budget allocation, but we still feel the funds allocated to to the agencies tasked to carry out the activities of environmental protection, the funds are not enough. So we want to appeal to the Minister of Finance to consider a supplementary budget allocation to issues of environmental protection. If we are going to emphasize on national resiliency and ensure that we have adequate national food and also protecting the vulnerable, we have to start spending more money in the areas of environmental protection. Other countries have been spending colossal sums of money in the areas of environmental protection as a way of preparing for adequate response to effects of climate change, global warming. So as a country, we cannot talk resiliency and sustainability if we continue underfunding the agencies that are tasked to ensure that the country is positioned. We need to ensure that activities that discourage the continued cutting of trees in our forestry is completely stopped. We have to ensure that we are financing activities that promote the use of sustainable sources of energy.
We now take our second set of commercials. Do stay with us as we have international and sports news. Don't go away.
Stay home, stay safe. Times have changed. With the advent of the coronavirus, Lusaka Water Supply and Sanitation Company would like to advise its esteemed customers to avoid visiting crowded places. You don't have to move to pay your water bill. You can do it in the convenience of your home. You can pay your water bills through Zanaco Zapit, Stanbic Bank, Standard Chartered Bank, and FNB. You can also use Airtel, MTN, and Zamtel Kwacha mobile money transfer services. For any inquiries to report a fault, please contact our customer service on +260 211 251 571, +260 975 618 618, and toll-free line 5957, Zamtel only. You can also simply email customer service @lwsc.com. This public announcement is brought to you by the Lusaka Water Supply and Sanitation Company. Water is life. Sanitation is health.
To create a positive difference in people's lives, one must first understand the way people live. At Savenda, we're here for our community, our partners, and our future, as a nation and as a continent.
Back in 1997, we decided we were going to create this family journey into a bigger opportunity, and created a business called Savenda, which meant Save Nations to Develop Africa.
It's always important to give back to the people. The government cannot do everything, but as business entities, we'll be able to reach a lot of people.
From our humble beginnings in the telecoms and mining sectors, to our work in energy and development projects, we know how important it is to be true to our roots.
Our services have to be diversified so that we don't depend on one income stream. Back in the village, I was growing up hunting and doing everything that a village boy would like to do. When you're hunting, you don't depend on one trap, for example. You have to have many traps. So those survival skills brought into the business created opportunities that we learned from a young age that you can't survive with just one product. Savenda Group involves Savenda Management, which is a consulting, Savenda Express, which is a corporate branding company, Savenda Electric, which is a manufacturer of energy-saving bulbs, Savenda General Insurance, which is a general insurance company, Savenda Fresh Produce, Cyber Africa, which is a center for just dealing with cyber security.
Now, Savenda is combining local knowledge with international expertise. It's time to be a part of Zambia's rising success and Africa's exciting future.
We are a gateway into Africa, and now we are praying with global companies who are coming to Zambia for opportunities and to look for companies that are homegrown, and we are proud to be one of those.
You're watching Camnet TV, not just another channel. We continue with our news. In international news, Africa has lost nearly 89 billion United States dollars a year in illicit financial flows such as tax evasion and theft, amounting to more than it receives in developmental aid, a United Nations study has showed. The estimate in the United Nations Conference on Trade and Development 248-page report, it is its most comprehensive to date for Africa. It shows an increasing trend over time. Junior Davis, head of policy and research at UNCTAD's Africa's division, told the Reuters news agency that the figure was likely an underestimate, citing data limitations. Nearly half of the total annual figure of 88.6 billion United States dollars is accounted for by the export of commodities such as gold and diamonds, the report said. For example, gold accounted for 77% of the total under invoiced exports worth 40 billion United States dollars in 2015, it showed. Understating a commodity's true value helps conceal trade profits abroad and deprives developing countries of foreign exchange and erodes their tax base, UNCTAD said. We monitor Al Jazeera.
Last year, the African Development Bank found that Africa's economy is growing faster than any other continent, but many millions of its people remain in poverty. The organization says that Africa's development has been seriously damaged by the illicit flow of money out of the continent. It's estimated that around $1 trillion have disappeared from Africa since 1980. Every year, as much as $100 billion flows out of Africa's economy because of things like corruption, money laundering, and tax evasion. In some cases, the money that's lost by individual countries is as much as 10% of their gross domestic product. The illicit outflow of cash has grown in size over many years, an average of 11.9% every year over the last 4 decades. The amount of money lost to Africa would not only be enough to wipe out its external debt of $250 billion, but could also leave $600 billion left over to fight poverty. So how do these huge numbers affect everyday life in Africa? Well, from Nigeria, Ahmed Idris has more.
Drivers in Abuja get their tanks filled with petrol that's already traveled many kilometers. It is produced locally, then exported for refining, and finally re-imported for sale to the Nigerian public. Nigeria lacks the capacity to extract and export its 2.5 million barrels of oil a day, so it needs investors. And when some of them come, they underreport the amount they produce and the profit they make in a trend called mispricing. The enormity of this problem has forced Nigeria and other African countries to seek international help.
It's a challenge that results in illicit financial flows from the entire continent. And, sometimes when you have natural resources, some of the natural resources contracts and the way they are shaped also allows room for some of these things to happen.
This is how some companies do it. If the current price of oil is $100 a barrel, a multinational oil company based in Nigeria may sell its oil at artificially low price of $60 a barrel to its subsidiary in a tax haven like Liechtenstein. The company declares little profit and pays low taxes in Nigeria. But the subsidiary then sells that oil to a third party in the United States at the true market value. The profit stays in the tax haven, and Nigeria loses out on the tax revenue it's owed.
Because people are getting so much so much concessions and declaring so much profit, and the country that is producing this thing is not benefiting from it. And ultimately, it affects our development.
Activists blame weak laws and poor enforcement. But tax authorities here say that is about to change.
We now get into sports news. Former Former Chipolopolo boss Sona JANZA says he is humbled and honored to have been appointed as NAPSA Stars Technical Director. The former Mbabane Swallows and Red Arrows boss will oversee all the operations of the club, including supervising the technical teams for both the senior and junior teams, as well as performing the administrative functions. JANZA believes NAPSA Stars are getting back their better days and are back on track to get great honors for themselves and also for the country. The 2012 AFCON winning technical director is confident that NAPSA Stars can go as far as the 2020-2021 CAF Confederation Cup. JANZA feels they can even reach the group stage despite this being their debut season in the CAF Interclubs competition. The story is courtesy of Zamfoot Sports. On that item, which brings us to the end of Camnet TV World News. On behalf of the entire news production crew and myself, Liseli Kanyanga. But before we go, a look at the headlines once again. Lack of fuel delays the issuance of NRC'S at CHINGANGAUKA Primary School in CHIKANKATA district of Southern Province. Another dead body found floating in LUSAKA'S NGWENYA Dam. NRC'S revokes driving licenses for 6 motorists for various road traffic offences. And in international news, illicit money flows from Africa nears 89 billion United States dollars, UN study shows. And in sports news, JANZA pleased to be NAPSA Technical Director. The Camnet World Verse of the Day is coming from the book of John 3 verse 20 to 21, and it reads, "Everyone who does evil hates the light and will not come into the light for fear that their deeds will be exposed. But whoever lives by the truth comes into the light so that it may be seen plainly that what they have done has been done in the sight of God." God bless.